my colleague is sharing. So we will go by the agenda, of course. Let me introduce myself first. Many of you do not know me. I am Madhushri Chatterjee. I'm the Chief of the Natural Resources and Interlinkages branch in the Division for Sustainable Development Goals at the UN, at DESA, at the UN. My team here, we are supporting the preparation of the water conference in collaboration, in very close collaboration with UN Water. And I see many of our collaborators and partners are here today as well. So thank you for joining us. Let me dive straight into what we will see, for the next maybe half an hour or so. We will have a message from the Secretary General of the UN 2023 Water Conference, Mr. Junhua Lee. Then we will have a video message from the DG of ILO and the Chair of UN Water, Mr. Gilbert Humbo. And then I will be giving a brief technical presentation, really, on the conference itself, what is to be expected, what is to be expected from the UN system, and so on and so forth. And finally, we have a presentation from Mr. Federico Properzi, who is the Chief Technical Advisor of UN Water Technical Advisory Unit. He will be giving you a presentation on the Water Action Agenda. Now, without further ado, let me give you some housekeeping rules. Please note that this session will be recorded and we will be putting it up on the conference website once we are ready with it. Please keep yourself muted so that if you're not speaking, your microphones are not interfering with the session. And finally, once all the presentations are done, we will open the floor for Q&A. Please use your raise hand button to ask a question, and we will go in order. Kindly note that many of our colleagues who are also involved in the preparations of the conference, specifically stakeholder participation, logistical issues, are unable to join us today since they are busy with the ECOSOC Partnership Forum. So if you do have further questions, you may send it to us by email, and we will make sure that we are able to answer all your queries. But as always, and I will post this on my presentation later, please do visit the conference website because there is a lot of information there and we are constantly updating that information. So thank you for joining in again, and I will now request my colleague to start playing the video message from the Undersecretary General of DESA. Thank you.
A total of 1. Dear colleagues, as the Secretary General of the United Nations 2023 Water Conference, I'm pleased to host this briefing together with Mr. Gilbert Humbo, Chair of the UN Water, to update you on the preparation of the conference. As you know, water is an essential human right, yet billions of the people worldwide still live without safely managed drinking water and sanitation. The COVID-19 pandemic reminded us that the clean water and hygiene are the simple and effective tools for preventing infectious diseases. But over half of the population in rural areas still lack their hand-washing facilities. The water is not on track to meet the water-related SDGs and targets by 2030. Untreated wastewater and agricultural runoff pose threats to environmental water quality. Climate change is projected to impact available water resources and intensify water-related disasters. The achievement of water-related goals is critical to the achievement of the other goals. Dear colleagues, when member states meet at the UN 2023 Water Conference on 22nd to 24th March in New York, it will be an occasion to unite the global community to take the action and address the broader challenges surrounding water. The conference will be inclusive, action-oriented, and cross-sectoral. It will bring together heads of the state and the government, ministers and other high-level representatives of the governments and the UN system, and a wide range of the stakeholders from across the different sectors. The General Assembly has credited over 1,200 organizations representing civil society, youth, women, and the private sector, among others. The conference will comprise an opening and closing ceremony, 6 plenary meetings, and 5 interactive dialogues, addressing water within cross-cutting areas and explore the progress within the Water Action Decade. 4 high-level special events will highlight the importance of the cross-sectoral collaboration. A number of exhibits and other activities will also take place during the conference within and around the UN headquarters. A call for side events has received a total of 1,270 expressions of the interest. This is a reflection of the momentum that this conference is generating. As you know, the main outcomes of the conference will be a summary of the conference proceedings and a water action agenda that will capture the ambitious new commitments from member states, the UN system, and other stakeholders. Now, preparations for the conference are well underway, including drafting of the 5 concept papers that will inform the interactive dialogues. I thank the UN organizations that co-convened the informal preparatory working groups on the 5 interactive dialogues, and that submitted contributions to the concept papers and the nominations of the moderators and the panelists. I will be appointing panel members in close collaboration with the conference co-hosts, Tajikistan and the Netherlands. Dear colleagues, the UN 2023 Water Conference aims to generate concrete actions and commitments to advance the global water agenda and secure transformative changes at all levels. It will also be an important contribution to the SDG Summit in coming September. I hope that all the UN entities will participate in the conference at the highest possible level with ambitious commitments. I look forward to meeting you in March in New York. I thank you very much.
Dear colleagues, you will now hear a message from Mr. Gilbert Humboldt, UN Water Chair and DG of ILO.
Dear colleagues, it is my pleasure to co-host this meeting as Chair of UN Water. Please let me begin by thanking Ambassador Liu, the Conference Secretary General and Under-Secretary General of the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, for convening this important briefing. Dear friends, there are still billions of people and countless institutions and businesses living without safely managed water and sanitation services. The need for action is not only urgent, it is also desperate. As Ambassador Lee has explained, We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to tackle this global water and sanitation crisis. The health, dignity, and future of individuals, families, communities, and societies are at stake. This crisis affects all sectors. Therefore, we must work to find solutions together and quickly. Pivotal to this and to the entire agenda for sustainable development is SDG 6, clean water and sanitation for all. Yet, according to the latest data, government must quadruple the rate of progress to meet this goal by 2030. It means many countries will need to work faster. However, this is not a crisis that governments alone can solve. We need a whole of a society approach. There are less than 7 years before we reach the SDG target date. We are already in the second half of the water action decade. We in the UN system must ensure that the UN 2023 Water Conference is the catalyst for the progress that's needed. As UN principals and decision makers, I encourage you and your organizations to consider and announce voluntary commitments, either individually or collectively. Your continued leadership and support for the Water Action Agenda will provide essential fuel on our journey toward the fulfillment of SDG 6 and the whole 2030 agenda. Dear colleagues, we are nearly at the conference, but it's not the final destination. This is the moment where we must change gear and travel much faster. Let us ensure that this conference is the beginning of a new era of accelerated action, driven by your leadership and by strong cross-sectorial partnerships that will deliver on water and sanitation far into the future. Thank you so much.
Colleagues, I request my colleague to begin sharing my presentation, please. So, dear colleagues, you've just heard Mr. Lee and Mr. Hungbo stressing the need for action, urgent action on the ground in collaboration and partnership. Next slide, please. So this conference, as you know, is a once-in-a-generation opportunity really to bring together the world and unite to improve the impact and advance the broad challenges surrounding water. And I want to pick up from where Mr. Hungbo left off. You are all invited to share commitments to the Water Action Agenda. And you will hear more of that later on from my colleague, Mr. Properzi. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. So like any UN conference, we have a diverse group of participants. We have member states, we have the UN system, we have intergovernmental organizations, associate members of the regional commission, scientific community, private sector, philanthropic organizations. All are invited to join and attend and contribute. Next slide, please. A little bit about the outcomes of the conference. Please note that there is no intergovernmentally negotiated outcome document or political declaration. There will be a presidential summary, which is the PGA summary of conference proceedings, and there will be voluntary commitments by governments and all stakeholders to be registered in the Water Action Agenda. Please note that the Water Action Agenda was launched by the conference co-hosts in Dushanbe in June 2022, and it is made up of voluntary commitments collected in the lead up to the UN 2023 Water Conference and during the conference itself as well as beyond. So the register is open, and we will keep the registry open. It's just that, the action and the commitments start now. We know that the world has already been acting on water-related challenges, but this is a milestone moment where we are asking everyone to do more. Next slide, please. Now, as Mr. Lee mentioned, the official program consists of 6 plenaries, which offer member states a platform to announce commitments, plans, actions, and best practices. There will also be 5 interactive dialogues to be held in parallel with the plenary meetings. There will be opening and closing ceremonies. There will be side events, special events, and exhibits. Next slide, please. Now, as you have already seen from various forum and also from the background note, these interactive dialogues are water for health, water for sustainable development, water for climate resilience and environment, water for cooperation, and the water action decade. As you know, these themes were finalized during the preparatory meeting convened by the PGA on the 25th of October, 2023. Now, a little bit about the interactive dialogues. First of all, I would like to thank all colleagues who worked together with DESA to contribute to these concept papers that we drafted. So an immense thank you from our end for your immense cooperation. This was done in a very short timeline. The themes were prepared finalized only by the 25th of October. And our immense gratitude and thank you for all of those colleagues who contributed substantively, and also the lead drafters of these various interactive dialogues. So, our DESA colleagues are immensely grateful for your support, and we hope that we can count on your support going forward. So thank you for that. Next slide, please. A little bit about the process. We opened the call for side events, and it closed on the 20th of January, which was an extended deadline. We have received over 1,300 applications. Now the applications are being reviewed by DESA, and we are most likely going to have to ask you to, either merge, join forces, so that, we can get great side events, but we are able to accommodate all requests or as many requests as possible. But please also note that side events can take place on site at UNHQ, off site anywhere in New York, or also as virtual events. Then, of course, there will be special events. There are 4 special events. The co-hosts are leading the preparation of those. These events will take place on site at UNHQ. Co-hosts have taken a different approach this time on the special events. These are cross-cutting. These are not really based on the groups, the stakeholder groups, if you will. So please check the website. We will have more information on the special events soon. Next slide, please. Now, the registration process. We are fully aware that this is a UN conference held at UNHQ, and most of you will have UN ground passes or LPs. But please note that we do need you to register. We need you to register for security reasons. We need you to register also so that DESA knows and the Conference Secretary General knows who are going to be participating. So we request you to please register all your participants. As you know, we have started reaching out to various colleagues to see if their principals are available to serve as panelists in the various interactive dialogues. So please register your panelists, your principals as well. We are fully aware that they have UNLPs and they have UN ground passes, but registration is really key to ensure easy access to the building and especially to the rooms. Now, there's a specific site for registering UN system entities, and they are categorized, as you will most likely know, by UN Secretariat, agencies, funds and programs, specialized agencies. Please make sure that you register in the right site. We are receiving registrations, but we are receiving them in different sites. So please go check the correct site that you have to register, because we need these names, we need the level of participation. Co-hosts are very eager and enthusiastic to see high-level participation and lots of participation from the UN system as well. Something to bear in mind: deadline to register for the UN Secretariat funds, programs, regional commissions, UN specialized agencies is Wednesday, 15 March 2023 by COB 5:30 p.m. Now, when you go into the registration site, we have not made it very cumbersome. We don't have too many requirements for you to register, but please also bear in mind that the official programs, the official interactive dialogues and the plenaries are happening in the largest possible rooms available. Interactive dialogues are going to be held in conference room 4. Plenaries will be held in GA Hall. That said, it's quite likely that we will not be able to accommodate everyone in the room. So register as many participants as you like, but please do let us know and give us a list. And we are not making it very cumbersome. You can send it to us. Our emails are all on the website, or you can send it also to the water2023@un.org email address as well. Next slide. So thank you for listening. And here you have all the relevant URLs that you will need. Please visit the conference website and also register commitments on the water the site that is already here, which says register. It's fairly easy. And if you want to learn more about the Water Action Agenda, the concept note and frequently asked questions is also on the site. But I will now turn over to my colleague, Mr. Federico Properzi, to make his presentation on the Water Action Agenda. And thank you for listening.
So thank you, Madhu. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. It's great to see so many colleagues and old friends connected to this call. So let me now try and share my presentation. Should be this. Okay, so I will now zoom in on the actuals of the Water Action Agenda, and I would like to start with this visual representation of the Water Action Agenda, which has been developed by the conference co-hosts Tajikistan and Netherlands. So the Water Action Agenda really builds on the 3 principles of the conference, which is about the conference is inclusive, the conference is action-oriented, and the conference is cross-sectoral. It builds also on the SDG 6 Global Acceleration Framework, which was launched in 2020, and really it brings together all the voluntary commitments which have been made, are being made, and will be made in the context of the conference. The Water Action Agenda itself was launched by the co-hosts at the Dushanbe meeting last June last year, and it's been presented as a vision, as a main outcome of the 2023 conference. And in this context, water in Water Action Agenda means big water. It means everything, including sanitation, disaster risk reduction, water for agriculture, everything. It really wants to focus and mobilize action across countries, sectors, and different stakeholders. And it's very important, especially from the UN systems perspective, it really builds on something we were working on already, which is the SDG 6 acceleration framework. So a lot of the language we now find in the Water Action Agenda, it builds on the acceleration framework itself. we're kind of fortunate that our conference comes after so many other important processes and conference where there is already a process of voluntary commitment. So we are able to learn from the other processes. We are able to learn from the ocean commitments, from what's happening in energy and in other sectors. And this is very important because we can really bring this all together. When we describe the Water Action Agenda, we can say there are three main building blocks. One is the mobilization of transformative commitments, the voluntary commitments. Okay. Two is the scaling up of their implementation. How do we implement on the ground in countries and across sectors? This word across sectors, you will hear it a lot because it's really about trying to really bridge the gaps between the different sectors. And finally, the third building block is about follow-up and review. What happens after the conference, how we can share learning, how we can measure progress, and how new commitments can be made. So the voluntary commitment, as my colleague Madhu was saying, the voluntary commitments are part of the modalities resolution for the conference. And there is a dedicated platform as part of the SDG 6 Acceleration Action Platform, which is managed by the UN Secretariat, by DESA, which is the way to submit their voluntary commitments into this process. And very important, all commitments from local to global, from small to big, from my commitments as Federico to commitments of institutions, they're all equally important because it's about bringing water, in high up in the policy agenda, in the political agenda, high up visible to the decision makers. If we now focus a little bit on the follow-up and review processes, and please note the plural here, it is envisaged that there is an annual pivot event on the margins of the high-level political forum in July in New York, and this builds and transforms the current SDG 6 special event. We can have a Water Action Agenda special event where we can do a few things. We can do an analysis of the water-related progress across sectors on the other SDGs. We can, for example, we can look at the other SDGs under in-depth review for that year. We can share success stories. We can learn lessons, and all stakeholders, member states, and the other stakeholders can learn what works, what doesn't work. And we can also provide this platform for new commitments to be made. Then very important, the second point, it's the second track. It's about the other sectors' intergovernmental space. I mean, we know that the water sector doesn't really have a global intergovernmental space. But of course, water is cross-sectoral. We need WASH for public health. We need water for agriculture. We need to talk about water-related disasters when we talk about disaster risk reduction. We need to talk about water when we think about urban planning. We need to think about water when we talk about biodiversity and environment. So water is everywhere. So water actually gets discussed in, for example, your own organization's intergovernmental bodies. How do we make sure that there is coherence? How do we make sure that our joint messages are actually brought forward in all this intergovernmental arena, which is very important for policy coherence? And then the third track is something we already have, which we're very happy about. The water community has many conferences, meetings, events, forums, and this is something which is great because this is where our water community meets. We build the networks, we talk, we discuss, we argue, we break up, we make up, and finally we can think about the joint messages that we can bring to the other two tracks that we are on this slide. So one thing that our chair, the UN Water Chair, Mr. Humbo, said is we need a whole of society approach. This is the essence of this slide. When we think about the Water Action Agenda, when we think about the voluntary commitments, it's not just member states. We really need all parts of society to be working together. And now, after so many years, after 46 years, we have enough political momentum, we have enough political visibility to actually make this happen. So this is my last slide, and I really would like to end with like 3 take-home broad messages. One is that the Water Action Agenda is our common, vision to achieve all water-related goals and targets. Two, that all stakeholders have a role to play and all commitments are equally important. Like if you've seen the World Water Day campaign, which actually, for example, even the Secretary General of UNSG just tweeted during the last 24 hours, we have this image of a hummingbird, which means everything, every drop of water counts. So we all can play a very, very important role here. And the third take-home message is that the conference is not the end of something. It is the beginning of a process which, as mandated in the resolution, will lead to the high-level political forum in July. And then this will lead to the SDG summit and then to the summit of the future and so on and so forth. So I would like to end with the same slide as Madhu. So to thank you very much and just highlight the key resources here for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Federico. And now we have a little bit of time for some questions and comments from your end. So please raise your hand so that we can go by order. I'm going by order as I see it on my screen. So I'm sorry if the order is not right. But I first see Yunon from UN Habitat, and then Rio, and then Dimitri. So maybe we take 3 questions first and then answer some of them. Habitat, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chatterjee, for this. And UN Habitat would like to congratulate UNDESA and the government of Tajikistan and Netherlands as a co-host for the organization of this very, very important meeting to bring water leaders urgent attention to our global issues. You can count on UN Habitat's full support in making this March meeting a game changer for water and sanitation in a rapidly urbanization world. And I'm very happy that the urbanization is reflected in the theme number 2, because as you know, that every city and community on planet's water is very vital. So this is most essential human needs. And as you know, cities and site of growing water challenges, from flooding, from water scarcity, from insufficient safe water supply, to inadequate collection and treatment of wastewater. I think this is not coincident. So what from our UN Habitat perspective is that unplanned and inappropriate urban development continues to aggravate water challenges. So we need to look at the planning of a city, the planning of human settlement, if we would like to look at the water. And at the same time, as you know, the rapid population growth, inefficient use, unmitigated pollution to water bodies and destruction. So it's very, very important for us to look at water and cities. I think this is a must. And I also would like to put forward that urbanization actually offers countless opportunities for sound water management and more equitable. So I would like very much to see the cities and communities where local water challenges can be solved. So I want to put forward again, Mr. Chatterjee, that well-planned cities and human settlement can bolster the access of safe and sustainable water. So in this case, in this light, that we UN Habitat decided to develop a walking tour of New York that can be experienced by all the conference participants who wish to explore sustainable urban water solution. By the title, Together We Walk, is being developed by Akadis and UN Habitat in X format, so that it can be appreciated once leisure. Second is that we would like to put forward that we need to raise up the role of the local actors, the local government. I saw that now the participant is including the local government. I'm very happy that because local government are the service provider, and you know that during COVID-19, they are at the forefront. So I think it's important to bring them together. Second, is also important to bring in the local water actors. UN Habitat working together with Global Water Operators Partnership Alliance. I think we will already have a proposed 10 side event for consideration to you. I saw this 1,300 side event. I know how difficult it is to put it forward. So, but we already put forward 10 side event. That shows how we are looking forward. And we already submitted at least 2 commitments and more coming because we are developing the commitment. We already put forward 2 commitments. One is to scaling up the professional peer partnership within water and sanitation utilities around the world. This is using the Global Water Operators Partnership Alliance, where we host at UN Habitat. Second is to raise the political visibility of sanitation and wastewater management. We are going to launch global report on sanitation and wastewater management in cities and human settlement during our UN Habitat Assembly in June. So we will bring this topic not only from the New York, but also bring it to Nairobi during our UN Habitat Assembly from 5th to 9th of June this year. So we're really looking forward to the fruitful UN 2023 Water Conference. Thank you so much, and I pass back the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind words and your commitments. Please ensure that they are registered in the dedicated site so that we can actually start publishing them on our website as well. And thank you for your commitment and kind words again. Colleagues, we have quite a few hands, so if you would restrict your interventions a little bit to maybe 2 minutes max, that would be very helpful. Thank you so much. And I now have Rio.
Thank you very much.
You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madhu. I'll be very brief. OSHR is a member of the UN Water. We have been actively supporting the preparation of the conference, supporting the integration of human rights in the process, and we very much look forward to participating in the conference and beyond. And I can say the same on behalf of the Special Rapporteur on the rights to water and sanitation as well. The Special Rapporteur and OSHR, we place a particular importance on ensuring meaningful participation of civil society and protecting the civic space and the role of human rights, water, environmental defenders. So my question to you is, could you give us some more insights or your assessment on how the civil society participation is going? What are the particular challenges that faced by civil society, and how we as the UN system can support their participation? Thank you.
Thank you, Rio. And I will be able to, let me take one more question and I will try my best to answer your question. The problem is that the colleagues who deal with civil society registration and participation are not in this fora because they are handling ECOSOC Partnership Forum. But I will do my best to answer your question. But I'd like to take one more question before I answer yours, Rio. I'd like to give the floor to Dimitri. And may I request colleagues to also introduce themselves, please? Thank you. I have Dimitri from UNECE. We can't hear you, Dimitri.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. My name is Dimitri Mariasin. I'm the Deputy Executive Secretary of UNECE. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for organizing this briefing. We, of course, are in close contact with DESA and UN Water on a number of issues supporting the organization of the conference. From our side, we were very pleased to host the regional PrEP meeting last year, and we think that the regional track is very important because there are differences and nuances on the narrative and the set of issues depending on the region. And then, of course, as UNECE, we focus on basically 2 key angles: the Transboundary Water Cooperation and the Water and Health Protocol. I'm not going to go into the details. You all know how important it is, but I'd like to really underline that of the SDG 6 targets, the Transboundary Water Cooperation 1 is critically lagging behind. So far, only 24 countries globally meet the target. So we believe that having this as one of the focus areas and the importance of the water and peace narrative there related to transboundary water cooperation will be important. It's there. We're very happy about it. We are supporting that element in the program and hope that the conference will be an opportunity to send a very strong signal, and we rely on all of you to also support the efforts. Our role here is really the legal side of things, hosting the water convention, so the transparent framework, but beyond that, there is a lot of action that is needed across the UN system, and that's where the Transboundary Water Cooperation Coalition comes in, and is going to be a number of events around the conference, including a commitments webinar. So we believe that it's one of the critical area of commitments. I will not go into the details on water and health. I think this is a very strong partnership with WHO, and WHO may still come in on it. I'd like to actually end with a question. So we've tried our best to galvanize governments to participate at the highest possible level. I think through all sorts of presentations, reaching out to ministers, reaching out to heads of states, multiple emails here in Geneva and in the region and beyond. The question I have is, at your best estimate, how many heads of states of government are you expecting at the conference, and how many ministers, and are there still some last minute things we could collectively do as UN agencies to support the outreach effort? Thank you, and over.
Thank you, Dimitri, and I'll start with your question first. So, registration, thank you for all your efforts. And as you know, transboundary water cooperation is actually a theme of the one of the interactive dialogues. And we appreciate your sort of participation and active collaboration in drafting those concept papers and reaching out to colleagues who can actually speak to this subject. On your specific question about what are we expecting, I would hesitate to give a number at this time, simply because, as you saw, the registration deadline is 15th of March. So until and unless people register or actually reach out to us saying, this is our head of delegation, we simply don't know, and we don't want to estimate. So, and typically when we have seen, we just came out of the Ocean Conference, it was our team handling it, people register only at the very end. So we are keeping a list. We are also, as you know, and this is for everyone, Mr. Lee had sent out to member states and to the UN system and beyond to give us names of panelists, to nominate panelists, moderators, and other speakers. So there we have a fair amount of high-level participants at ministerial level who have been nominated. But recognize we have about 70 spots, and we have received 230 nominations so far. So we are trying our best to accommodate, the relevant people based on expertise, based on level. So this is just some added information as to where everyone can participate. So as to how many are we expecting, we do not know. But there is a lot of ways for those who are coming to engage and participate at the conference. Now on to Rio's question about civil society participation. So Rio, we had this accreditation process started, ad hoc accreditation. Of course, civil society that is already accredited are able to join and engage. We also have a lot of accreditations that have happened. So based on that, of course, registration, and valid sort of documents, there is access to the building, and there will be speaking slots for civil society also at the plenary and at the interactive dialogues as well. We are developing a note on the same, which will be uploaded soon on the conference website. In addition, civil society is also actively has been requested to propose side events. These side events, we've already received over 1,300 applications. If you feel that there are still some key parties who have not been engaged enough, please ask them to join forces with others and collaborate and bring their messages to the conference. I'm not sure how this answers your question and whether this answers it fully or not, but as of now, this is the information that I have, Rio. Thank you. I now see Sajal Mathur from WTO, Susan from UNEP, Susan Gardner. Very nice to see you again, Susan. And, you know, just saying out loud, thank you for all your help with the Ocean Conference. And then we have UNITAR. So Sajal, Susan, and UNITAR, please go ahead.
Hello, Madhushri. Actually, it's going to be myself, Ek Ho Lim, Director for Trade and Environment, who will be taking the floor right now. Hello, nice to see you. Well, firstly, you know, we congratulate you on all the work that you're doing towards the UN Water Conference. It's certainly a very important conference for us. Our Director General, I think we've already spoken about this, Director General Ngozi, she's playing a very particular role in the issues of water. She's a co-commissioner of the Global Commission on the Economics of Water. So they will, as you know, be presenting in the UN Water Conference as well. And she will be making her trip to New York specifically for the Water Conference. So we're really looking forward to it. And the Water Conference has also helped us in a way to try to get a bit more of a discussion going on amongst the trade community on water-related issues. I think we spoke about this last time. We will have a roundtable hosted by Tajikistan and Netherlands next week on issues which are more trade-related and economics-related of water. That will be here in Geneva. At the same time, the Global Commission itself will have a side event within the UN Water Conference, and they will be also presenting on the work that they've been doing. And I think, in short, you know, we are, of course, looking at the issues more from the economics, trade, and resources sort of angle, which we think are really important for the overall context of the work of the UN Water Conference. I mean, of course, there are many more issues there, but I think our basic point is that, you know, to achieve many of the equity outcomes that are needed in water, there also needs to be some understanding of the economics of water and how does one actually use water resources in the most efficient way. And therefore trade as an engine, as an enabler, is one means by which one can achieve that. So that's a very broad sort of understanding that we have working towards UN Water. On specific questions, we had looking at the interactive dialogues, the 5 interactive dialogues, the one that we saw as perhaps closest to all of these issues that I just mentioned is Interactive Water Dialogue 2 on water for sustainable development, valuing water, and so forth. Be interested to know what type of speakers or what level of speakers have you in mind, or have you already confirmed for that interactive dialogue? And also on the special sessions, I don't know, maybe you've already covered it and I came a bit late to this meeting, sorry about that. If you could give us a bit more of an idea about how these special sessions will be conducted, and also the level of speaking engagement or opportunities within these special sessions. I think those were our 2 main questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Let me give the floor to other colleagues, and then I'll take some questions. Susan, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Nadu. It's a pleasure seeing you, and greetings all from Nairobi at UNEP headquarters. We'll start out by expressing our appreciation to you and DESA for really energizing this once-in-a-generation opportunity to advance the water action agenda. And our executive director asked us specifically to communicate her commitment to a very successful UN Water Conference, where in fact she looks forward to personally attending. And she will be in New York for the HLCP, and so that will be something we'll be working closely with you on, trying to deconflict various opportunities where there can be engagement for both. We've been super pleased for UNEP to be able to provide substantive support to both UN Water as well as the conference. And particularly working with WMO and UNDRR, it's been a pleasure supporting the preparation for the Thematic Dialogue 3 on climate resilience and environment. We were very pleased to welcome the co-chairs, Japan and Egypt, for this roundtable conference. And we believe in this vision for these strong game changers in this theme as well as the others. In this theme in particular, as we're thinking about the decade on ecosystem restoration, as we're thinking about the recently agreed global biodiversity framework, as we're thinking about building resistance to climate change in the conversations that'll be coming up at the upcoming COP28. All of these are opportunities to connect the WASH agenda with the environment agenda and ensure that we're supporting member states and meeting their commitments under the Rio Conventions. So I just wanted to say that UNEP is available to help in other ways. We're eager to continue supporting the dialogue and partnering with others, including we hear your request to combine various side events and streamline what we deliver, and count on us as a good partner for that. So if I had a question, it would be just to know what more we can do to help. Thanks.
Thank you, Susan. May I go to UNITAR now, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Madhu, and good afternoon to everyone. Just on also our executive director, Mr. Nikhil Seth, who was connected earlier at the very beginning of the briefing, is very much looking forward to personally participating in the conference. He sends his greetings, Madhu, and to everyone. We're also as a provider of training and capacity building. We're looking forward to also contributing to the UN Water Conference, and we have also sent a proposal for a side event for your consideration. We are also aiming to mobilize our network of training centers, global network of training centers, and leading academic institutions that are part of these training centers, with also private sector partners, to commit to a long-term effort that will seek to provide and channel knowledge on water-related aspects. So we're very much looking forward to contributing to the aims of the conference and to personally participating in these activities. Thank you, Madhu.
Thank you for that. I'll take a couple more speakers, and then I'll ask the most sort of common questions, and then colleagues can reach out to me because this is an interest of time. So I now have Paola, and then I have FAO.
Thank you very much for this briefing, and thank you to UNDESA and UN Water, and also to the co-chairs, the Kingdom of the Netherlands and Tajikistan, for the vision, collaboration, and joint efforts leading up to the final steps in the preparation of this important event. From UNDRR perspective, the Sendai framework is critical for the successful achievements of the Water Action Decade and for building resilience. And vice versa is equally the same. As we mentioned, the reference and importance of water issues in the disaster risk reduction agenda is very strong. The coinciding midterm review offers an opportunity to ensure synergies between the Sendai framework and the Water Action Decade. UNDRR has made efforts to ensure alignment between the midterm review of the Sendai framework and the Water Action Decade, including through a position paper on ensuring synergies between the midterm review of water and disaster risk reduction, which highlights critical areas where progress is indispensable to achieve impact, including the urgent need to enhance infrastructure resilience, early warning, early action, but also the strengthening of the multi-hazard monitoring systems around water, including through increased risk understanding in water stress contexts. Equally, the water community has contributed to the midterm review of the Sendai framework through a survey that was launched at the Dushanbe conference in 2022, last year. So indeed, there's been a very strong cross-fertilization. For the disaster risk reduction community, the UN 2023 Water Conference will be a key milestone leading up to the midterm review of the Sendai Framework high-level meeting of the General Assembly on the 18th and 19th of May this year. and also to inform you that we are preparing voluntary commitments for submission to the Water Action Agenda, which will further enhance the implementation of the Sendai framework, as well as a connection with the Water Action Decade. UNDRR has led one and contributed to two side events proposal that we showcase the commitment. We're also planning to attend the conference at the highest level.
Thank you.
And we very much look forward to the interactive dialogues. Finally, thank you very much, Susan, the colleague from UNEP, for mentioning the very close partnership with WMO and with us in order to move forward the interactive dialogue 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paula. May I now give the floor to FAO? And colleagues, we have 2 minutes left for time, but we can continue a little bit more, but I request you to now stick to just questions that you have and keep your comments brief. But you know, we have 104 participants, and we are really happy that so many of you are engaged. But please, FAO.
Thank you very much, Madhu, and also I want to take this opportunity to thank UNDESA and also UN Water for UN Water as well as the co-host countries for the excellent organization and the preparation of this watershed conference. FAO is firmly committed to support this high-level event, and our DG already planned his participation in person in New York. In addition to that, we will support the dialogue, interactive dialogue. We also want to organize a one-side event, as well as to contribute to the organization of another about 15 side events that we were invited by the countries to co-lead those side events. But for most, FAO is firmly committed to support the countries as we propose already, support the countries to develop their national water roadmap to achieve all the SDG goals. And to do so, we will also organize African Water Workshop in late February to mobilize the momentum from the countries. And this proposal has also been discussed at the Rome Water Dialogue in the last November, for which we received many countries' support to develop such a national water roadmap. Indeed, a number of countries already started the process. So hopefully by the time of the conference, certain countries will be able to bring their national water roadmap to the New York to demonstrate the commitment. And firmly, we look forward to the collaboration with all the parties. Specifically, I have the questions, especially regarding the timeline, especially when you will be able to share with us the timeline that all the side event either will be approved or will be requested to be merged with others. Because as the co-organizer of more than 15 side events, we also need to collaborate with all the others to reach agreement how those side events will be merged together with other partners. Really look forward to the timeline so that we can really make sure that all these side events will be better organized and all the intended speakers, panelists, high-level participants will be able to join in person. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. I will now respond to some of the questions that I've heard. It's wonderful to know that so many entities are going to be attending in person and at very high level. Unfortunately, we haven't yet received your letters indicating who is going to be leading the delegation. So we do not have that information. So if you can please write to Mr. Lee indicating the participation of your principals, that will be very helpful for us. In terms of commitments, I'm hearing wonderful commitments all across the board, but please do register your commitments in the registration site. And lastly, on the question of when are we going to actually have a side events program, as you know, there are over 1,300. So we are reviewing them and suggesting mergers. So it is hoped that by mid-February, we will be able to reach out to you with more details on how to collaborate, who to merge with, and all of that will be shared on the website. So, and then we will reach out to different organizers. The lead the lead organizers to with suggestions for merger or joining other groups. I'm now going to give the floor to Jody Miller from IAEA, and then Anil Mishra from UNESCO.
Thank you. Like many others, I would like to thank both UNDESA and UN Water for all of the work in bringing this event together. It's a very important event, and at the International Atomic Energy Agency, we are fully committed to the process. I would like to confirm that these actions and this event is receiving attention at the highest level. The Director General of the IAEA has this in his calendar and will be attending the event in person. As you may know, we at the International Atomic Energy Agency work across many sectors. We work in water resource sustainability, but we also work in climate smart agriculture, climate change adaptation and mitigation, human health, wastewater treatment, desalination, amongst other things. Amongst all of these, though, our interest is in technical capacity development, and we have listened to all of the messages that have come through about the importance of data, being able to generate data, having the data and information available that member states can make properly informed decisions for their water resource strategy development. Our commitment is to upscale our activities in building laboratory capacity within member states, and we have registered this commitment, and it will form the basis of our side event. We have a number of member states who are going to be recipients of this support, and we will be initiating a network to upscale investment in this type of capacity that will benefit many of the commitments and the actions and agendas of other participants that have been speaking, and we are doing this in conjunction with our partners, the WMO, UNESCO and UNEP, but we would welcome any approaches from others who are interested in joining forces. And I have no questions. Thank you. I appreciate the information, which has answered actually a lot of the questions that I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Jody. And we have received confirmation from IAEA already. So thank you for that as well. I give the floor now to Anil. Anil and then Jeanette. Anil, you have the floor. I see your hand is up. Okay, perhaps we can move to Jeanette.
Thank you. I would like to start. Thank you, DESA, for this briefing and organization. ECLAC is strongly committed to the water conference. I would like to let you know that we are happy to host the regional dialogues on water tomorrow up to Friday. We have over 2,000 participants from 70 countries, both from the region, from the Latin American and the Caribbean region, and also from outside the region. One vice president, 8 ministers, 20 vice ministers, and directors of the presidents of the water enterprises. We are very happy of doing that and preparing the environment for the water conference in New York, and for sure we were there with an important delegation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. I don't see any hands up, but if you still like to intervene, maybe we give it another 3 minutes. But I would also like to add, thank you for your participation. There was a question about level of speakers in the interactive dialogues. Please note we have received about 200, close to 230 nominations, and it is a struggle to ensure, you know, regional balance, gender balance, level, as well as expertise. So of course we want all of these interactive dialogues to be at high level, but we also want it to be formed in a way that, you know, they are cross-cutting. So we are still working on that. Of course, we are working with USGLE and with co-hosts to make sure there's a good balance. But please send in, I mean, not send in at the moment. We do not really want any more nominations. But if your principals are going to be attending in person, that is great news. Please do send us that information. And also, the concept papers are going to be, the advanced unedited versions of the concept papers will be ready by COB today, if not earlier, and we will be publishing them up on the website. So this would be a time to go look at them and look at the guiding questions, especially if your principal is going to be participating in the interactive dialogues, especially. Please look at the guiding questions, because that is what is going to form the meat of, we hope that will form the answers to those questions will form the meat of the presentation. So that said, I don't see any more hands, but I would like to give the floor to my colleague Federico. He made a very interesting presentation today for some last words. Maybe Federico?
Yeah, thank you, Madhu. No, really, I think it's been a very rich meeting. So Madhu, thank you so much. And also thanks to all colleagues connected online for this very, very interesting presentation. And I really would like to stress how we as UN System have managed really to deliver as one in support of the UN Secretariat and the co-hosts for the conference, with the regional preparatory meetings, with the preparatory meeting in October, with the concept papers. It's been really amazing. So it's, I think, looking forward to the conference, of course. Thanks, Madhu, over to you.
So thank you all. And of course, we will stay connected. Please, if your principals or delegations are coming, please do not forget to register. Please let us know. And of course, you know, we are here to help you out in any which way. Please do register your commitments as well. I heard so many good ones today, but please register them. And I do see Anil on my screen. So Anil, I don't know if you can hear me. Do you want to comment? You had your hand up at some point. I'm not sure he can hear. All right, colleagues. If there are no further questions, thank you very much for your participation and your enthusiastic engagement today. And of course, for, you know, collaborating and being such a great support to DESA. Thank you. Have a lovely day, evening, afternoon. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.